All right, here with head women's basketball coach Michelle Bento-Jackson, opening it up for questions.
Coach, the second half in Sonoma was kind of just a lot going on. Winning the third by 13 and then losing the fourth by 21. Just what were you going through on the sideline watching that second half?
Well, obviously, just trying to figure out what I can do to help a situation, and we watched film yesterday, and just it was a bad combination of turning the ball over, not getting a defensive stop, and that happened a handful of times consecutively. So that's obviously, as much as the lead was dwindling, I just tried to keep the girls positive that we're okay, we're still in control. But we just didn't execute down the stretch. We just didn't play the level of defense that we need to play to solidify the game, and we got really sloppy on the offensive end between our turnovers and our shot selection. So to me as a coach that just learns, just I don't know about immaturity, but just a lack of experience in knowing how to handle those situations, and I have to do a much better job of trying to control the situation as much as I can from the sideline.
And I felt like you guys have been winning those close games. To lose one, being on the other end of things, how did the team take it?
Not well. We even on Thursday nights in San Marcos, we didn't play well. If you look at the two games, we were outscored 48-16 in the fourth quarter with the two games combined, and obviously that's a staggering statistic that's just not sitting too well. So just learning how to finish games and keeping leads and extending leads rather than losing the leads. And I really felt like it was us just really making poor decisions on how we lost that lead. So as always, we'll learn from these two games, and we got to move on. And we have a couple weeks now of just practicing where we're not focusing on an opponent, we're focusing on ourselves, which I think is really necessary for us right now.
Yeah, you're talking about you have till New Year's Eve is your next game at Chico. So with this break, and you're talking about just working on defense, what else are you guys working on over practice?
Just decision making, in particular on the offensive end. And I've talked a great deal to the team just about understanding situations, understanding ending of quarters, beginning of quarters, clock management. So just a number of different things on both ends of the floor. Our execution has just been really sloppy. And that's something that I got to get better on our practices on a day-to-day basis, and just demand that things are done cleaner and sharper because there's always going to be a little bit of slippage in games. And so there's just a lot of things. I'm looking forward to these 2 weeks, actually, of us just getting better as a basketball team.
And I imagine a lot of players will be going out of the area to see their family for the holidays.
Yeah.
How do you kind of refocus them? Especially, it might be easier coming off a few losses, just to really focus in and lock back in once they return.
That's obviously always a hard part as a coach. It's a very uneasy feeling that, right in the middle of the season, there's 7 days off, but it's the same for everybody. And I was just talking to them yesterday. Obviously, our opponent after the break is Chico State, and what team is going to be the most disciplined when you go home for Christmas? Of course, enjoy your family, your friends, the holiday, but we have to be disciplined as well. And remember that we're in the middle of our basketball season, and so making sure that they keep their bodies prepared for when they come back. And then I think we have 4 or 5 days for practice before we get on the road to Chico. So the most disciplined team, it's always a real challenge, the game after Christmas, on who did what over the break.
And you mentioned offensive execution. I mean, the shooting numbers aren't great, but what exactly are you looking for just from the execution?
Well, a number of different things. Getting us into the offense, we've been unorganized a little bit too often in our half-court offense. The execution from, I won't bore you with all the details, but just our entry passes into our offense. And then that combined with poor decision making, and whether that be our pass selection or just our shot selection. So, again, I think with this group, a lot of film session is extremely important for us, so they can see the different things, and I can use the film as a learning tool, so I can educate them basically and just make them better.
And 22 minutes from McNeil Price, I'm not certain if that was a season high, but I believe it was. What kind of made you choose that decision going with her?
Yeah, I felt like the Sonoma game was going to be a good game for her from a matchup standpoint. And I had talked to her in the hotel and just told her, what we were looking for, what we needed for her in this game, and just to really be mentally prepared. And I thought she took that on very well, and not only just the most minutes that she got this season, but she produced. I mean, I think she ended up with 8 points and 10 rebounds, if I'm not mistaken. And she's just, she's an active body, and she was called upon and she answered.
How important is that rebounding? Because you guys don't have the most guys on your team. She kind of can provide some help on the boards. How crucial is that for you guys?
Yeah, and I actually think some of our guards, Marley Johnson, for example, some of our guards have been doing a pretty consistent job on the boards. That hasn't been as much of a concern of mine as some other things. Obviously, we got to limit the extra possessions by our opponents, of course. But Ray, obviously, that is one of her strengths for her to come in and just, like I said, she's just pretty active and she gets on the boards real well.
Playing Chico has a game on the 19th against Simpson, and you guys aren't doing any kind of, just no point, not big games in between. Kind of, what does that make you think about for your team and what you need to prepare for, knowing that Chico is having an extra game in between this break?
Yeah, that's, like I said, I'm actually really happy about this break that we can focus on ourselves, because we need the time. We still have Amelia Long, who just kind of was thrown into the fire here. So just getting her up to speed with everything that we do on both ends of the floor. So I'm going to really take advantage of this time, like I continue to say, just to make us a better basketball team. And I'm looking forward to this, that we're not preparing for opponent, and again, just focus on ourselves.
I'm curious, did you have much of anything that you did enjoy from your team's performance these last 2 games?
Well, I mean, obviously there was positive things as well. I mean, it's encouraging that we were in a situation with that we could win both games. San Marcos is a very good team, and it was a 2-point game with 7 minutes to go, and we had a 5-minute spurt in the fourth quarter, actually the third quarter as well, but we recovered from that where we didn't score. And 5 minutes of not scoring in the fourth quarter obviously makes it really tough. But what that does mean, what I keep trying to preach to the team, is our defense has really got to be on point, because sometimes you can't always control the offense. So there were certainly encouraging things. I mean, we've been talking about how we haven't had great third quarters. Obviously, we did against Sonoma. So it's a 40-minute game. We can pick apart the 4 different quarters, but obviously the fourth quarter is crucial in knowing how to finish a game. And so again, we were in a position to win the game, and of course that's encouraging. Now we got to do it. We got to finish.
And as far as just like kind of consistent scores you can entrust to give the ball in hopes of finding a basket, I mean, Amelia's still kind of fresh with the team. She's probably been here like a month at this point. Kenya's been really good this season, but you don't have a ton of players that you can just kind of hand the ball to and just be like, create some offense for me. What is that? This kind of, I assume, would be more pressure on you and the coaching staff to kind of create plays. What's that been like for you this season?
Yeah, well, it's interesting because you always, as a coach, you kind of want that, like you said, end of the shot clock, just go get us a bucket type player. And obviously, Amelia is the one right now that has been the most consistent with having the ability to do that. But our offense is going to be collective, and I don't look at that as a bad thing at all. If our offense is spread out amongst players, I think that just spreads the floor out for the defense, and it makes us that much stronger as an offensive team. But I do have to do a better job of, just from a call playing standpoint, on who do I want the ball's hands in and who's going to go at least attempt to get us that bucket. So right now it seems to be Amelia, but we need more people to step up in those situations.
Coach, I just have one question. You're 2-2 in conference right now. As we've been talking about this whole presser, you were right there with 7 minutes to go against San Marcos. You led in the fourth quarter against Sonoma. 6 teams in the conference are currently 2-2. What are your thoughts based on just like where you're at in the season right now, and just obviously how tough this conference is? But you could easily be 4-0 if those fourth quarters went the way that you hoped they went. So what does that say for like where you're at as a team right now, and what you think of the team just so far this season?
Right. Well, with so many new players, I have had the conversations with them just to try to give them an understanding of big picture, just what the CC2A entails. You got to show up every single night, and it's going to be an absolute dogfight for the teams to try to finish in the top 6 to make the conference tournament. And these games matter. The San Marcos losing the Sonoma game that we should have won, things like that could bite us in the butt at the end of the season. and just trying to get the team to understand the sense of having a sense of urgency and the importance of each and every game, because I know exactly how the CC2A is, and this is gonna be the case all season. There's not a lot of separations. One thing I love about this conference is just the parity. And you can beat everybody and you can lose to everybody. And we're all obviously fighting for right now those top 6 spots to get into the conference tournament.
Does your defense always keeping you guys in games kind of give you a sense of confidence that any given day, even if the offense isn't flowing to the optimal level, that your defense will keep you in games, keep you close, and give you the opportunity to win?
Well, that's my goal. That's our goal. Unfortunately, our defense was a little inconsistent this past weekend. But going off of what you said, that is what has to be the constant. Is we do have to be able to rely on our defense being efficient. And those were, we turned the ball over and we made some poor offensive decisions. But as I explained to the team yesterday, if our defense just would have been solid down the stretch there with Sonoma, the outcome very well could have been different. So we just got to become a lot more consistent on both ends of the floor.
All right. Thanks, Coach. Happy holidays, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right, great. Thank you, guys.